Today, we are exploring a connection that, you might not expect. It's the link between the books you have sitting on your shelf and some of the biggest challenges facing our entire planet.
I mean, it sounds a little out there, right? Can a work of fiction, a story, really tackle something as huge as global warming, or poverty, or inequality? Well, that is the big question we're digging into. And honestly, the answer might just surprise you.
Because what if the solutions to the world's most complex problems aren't just hiding in labs or in government policy meetings? What if they're also waiting for us right there on our nightstands? Stories have this incredible power to put the entire world, with all its messy, complicated challenges, right into our hands. So to really understand how this works, we first need a frame of reference for all these global challenges. You can think of it as humanity's ultimate to-do list.
And that framework is the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs for short. The United Nations calls them a shared blueprint for a better future. It's basically a global mission to tackle, well, pretty much everything, from poverty and hunger to climate change and injustice.
And believe me, it's a big mission. We're talking about 17 interconnected goals, which the UN adopted way back in 2015 with a target date of 2030. It's this super ambitious plan to protect the planet and make sure every single person can enjoy peace and prosperity. So, where do books fit into all this?
Okay, this is where it gets really, really cool. Literature isn't just a mirror reflecting the world, it actually helps shape how we see it and how we act in it. It's a surprisingly powerful engine for change.
You see, stories work their magic in 3 key ways. First, they raise our awareness. They take these huge, abstract global issues and make them personal, impossible to ignore. Second, they build empathy, letting us walk around in someone else's shoes for a while. And finally, they push us to think, and they can inspire real action, encouraging us to look at our society and our own role in it in a totally different light.
So let's get specific. I want you to start thinking of your bookshelf as a kind of toolkit. Each and every book is a unique tool that gives you a different way to understand and engage with these global goals. Let's kick things off with one of the most urgent missions we have, protecting our planet. How in the world can a novel help us tackle something like an environmental crisis? Well, there's a whole genre now called climate fiction, or cli-fi, that speaks directly to SDG 13, climate action. A book like Margaret Atwood's Oryx and Crake doesn't just throw scientific facts at you. No, it immerses you in a potential future, one ravaged by corporate greed and genetic engineering. It makes the ecological crisis feel personal, immediate, and frankly, terrifyingly real.
And that connects perfectly to SDG 15, which is all about life on land. You can pick up a novel like Barbara Kingsolver's Prodigal Summer, and it just weaves together the lives of people, insects, and predators to show you this incredibly delicate, interconnected web of an ecosystem. It celebrates biodiversity not as some abstract concept, but as a living, breathing story, which really highlights exactly what we stand to lose.
Now, beyond the environment, literature has always been a battleground for social justice. It gives us the language and the empathy we need to fight for a fairer and more equitable world. Think about Hard Times by Charles Dickens. Sure, it's a Victorian novel, but its sharp critique of industrial exploitation is absolutely timeless. It forces you to see the human suffering behind economic systems, speaking directly to SDG 1, no poverty, and SDG 8, decent work.
And this brings us right to SDG 10, reduced inequalities. For this goal, post-colonial authors, writers who are really grappling with the legacy of colonialism, are so crucial. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's work, for example, it just flips the script on Western narratives and gives voice to Nigerian perspectives, forcing us all to confront the deep, historical roots of global injustice.
It's a similar story for SDG 5, gender equality. The work of authors like Toni Morrison gives us this unflinching look into the intersecting experiences of race and womanhood. Her novels aren't just stories, they're acts of reclamation. They demand recognition for voices that have been pushed to the margins for far too long.
And what about threats to our peace and justice? Well, this is where dystopian fiction really shines. George Orwell's 1984 is so much more than a classic. It's a warning that feels more relevant every year. It's a powerful critique of political corruption and totalitarianism, and it directly engages with SDG 16 by showing us the terrifying alternative to peace, justice, and strong institutions.
So we've seen how books can literally be tools for understanding the world's biggest problems. But the most important part of this whole story? That involves you. This is where your chapter begins. Here's the most crucial point.
Every single time you open a book, you're doing more than just reading. You're engaging in an act of global citizenship. You're opening up a dialogue with another culture, another time, another point of view. Stories build our ethical responsibility to each other and to this planet we all share.
Ultimately, this isn't just some nice idea. It's a powerful truth. The act of reading, of really seeking to understand the world through stories, is a fundamental contribution to creating a more sustainable future.
And that leaves us with one final thought. We've established that your bookshelf is a toolkit for change, so the only question left is, what tool are you going to pick up next? What will your next book teach you about the world, and what are you going to do with that knowledge?